Firebrand Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the super mayor. She announced her re-election for bid of mayor, despite many calling for her resignation. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Village of Dolton mayor, who is embroiled in lawsuits, announced it's time to be the change that is needed for the Southland. Change? But you're already the mayor, and you're the super mayor. So what do we need change from? Where are we going from and to? Change for the Southland. It's kind of like Kamala Harris, right? I just got through watching Kamala Harris interview with Bret Baier, which is the only real interview so far that Kamala Harris has done. I'm sorry, Call Her Daddy, which is the number 3 podcast in the world, a former X-rated sex advice podcast for females and males, because, it takes both sexes. Notice there's only 2 sexes there. Anywho, and going on Howard Stern doesn't really count towards, telling the American public what's going on. So, scandal-ridden mayor of an Illinois village announced that she was running for re-election. I honestly feel like we're living in the down under. What are we doing? What's going on? Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is embroiled in multiple lawsuits and accusations, announced on Tuesday in a Facebook post that she will be seeking re-election as mayor of the 21,000-person village. It's time to be the change that is needed for the Southland, she wrote. Henyard, who describes herself as the most powerful woman in the Southland of Chicago, has served as Dolton mayor since 2021 and Thornton Township supervisor since 2022. The announcement comes as Henyard faces accusations of mishandling the village's finances and calls to resign. Don't forget the FBI probes. I mean, you got a little FBI probe action in there. She has got so many lawsuits going that she recently got served at a meeting that wasn't a meeting, but she held it anyway. And the process server is like, I got something for the super mayor. And he walks up and gives it to her. And she literally brushed it off. I get served all the time. It's no big deal. If you're a good mayor, why are you continually getting served like this? And she believes she's being persecuted. They're going after her because of all the good things she's done. All right. I mean, that's a spin. I'll give you that. That's a spin. It's not a believable spin. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is leading an investigation into the Dolton's finances. That is ongoing. The first volley or salvo of Lightfoot's information came to light in August. Lightfoot revealed part of her report, finding that the Dolton Village General Fund has a negative balance of more than $3.5 million. And it started with a surplus of 5 and change, I think it was. Yeah. Where did it all go? What happened? What happened to it? Well, when you spend a whole bunch of money on Amazon and just taking a whole bunch of trips with end results that, don't really make any sense for a mayor to be taking, even if you are the super mayor. Her report also showed unaccounted credit card spending, including $40,000 spent on Amazon on the same day. It was north of 40K. It was north of 40K. So what do you got going on there? Tiffany Henyard I think she has done a ton of overspending. Whether or not she will actually be held accountable for any actual criminal charges, I'm kind of like, I'm in that. I don't think she will. I think she gets a slap on the wrist and maybe she doesn't get reelected. I honestly think that is what probably will happen. Because with the FBI looking in, maybe they're tying her to something else. I don't know. But what she's got actually going on, some bad ethical judgment versus you got to stick her with something pretty significant to go after her. That's just how politics goes in Chicago, right? You got to do something pretty egregious. Has she done that? Well, we don't know. We haven't figured that out. She is always saying that she is not guilty and she's just being persecuted because she's the super mayor. She's the youngest female mayor in all of the land. Okay. All right. But Does that mean you did it or you didn't do it? I mean, we know that she overspent on some trips. There's some crazy stuff that happened. She's used the police to her benefit. Can a case actually be put together that ends up with her on the wrong side of justice? That's the real question. I know everybody just wants to say, put her in prison, put her in prison. All right. What are the charges? Well, fraud. Okay. Prove it. All right. Well, we used bad judgment here. You get in front of a judge and somebody's going to go, oh, yeah. In our understanding, the village does not have an Amazon account. This is someone using one of the credit cards and choosing these amounts using your tax dollars, Lightfoot said. That is, I think, what happened. Abuse of power, abuse of her position. Do they have enough on her to put her away? To actually have any kind of charges that are going to amount to anything. That's where I'm kind of leaning at this point in time, because I haven't seen anything hardcore. I know we've got a deficit that's in the amount of $3-something million, but if you don't have the income coming in and you've still got outflow in the form of bills, you can rack up a $3 million or $4 million deficit pretty quickly without doing a whole bunch of extra spending. I know everybody wants to pile on the extra spending. Okay. All right. And the case has been made by Lori Lightfoot, but Lori Lightfoot is not a law enforcement figure. She's a former mayor who's got a high profile, and that's why she was chosen, because they figured people would talk to her, and they have. So she's done her job. The super mayor, is she going to be like the Teflon Don? Yeah, those are things that run through my mind. This isn't the only ongoing investigation she's involved in. Federal investigators are probing both Dolton Village Hall and Henyard in relation to the management of finances. Specifics of the investigation are not clear, but Henyard, her political committee, cancer charity. All right, so the cancer charities, and she has literally distanced herself from that, from the standpoint of, I don't know who runs that. That's not mine. But she's in ads. She's in Facebook. She's in live streams, walking on her walkathon that was paid for by the Township of Thornton. She's doing this walkathon, and she's all there with, Tiffany Cares or the Cares, whatever it is, cancer charity. And then all of a sudden she goes on, a moderate sized media show and says, people are just hijacked my name and they're putting it on this charity. I don't know anything about it. Her boyfriend, a few of her relatives, and others have been subpoenaed, according to WGN TV. On top of this, she, alongside with her live-in boyfriend, has warned that they face the threat of eviction. Okay, all right, but let's play devil's advocate here, right? It was for 1 month's rent, and she hasn't been, she doesn't have, months and months and months of not paying a rent. So what's the dealio there? The landlord just, boom, pulled the trigger super early on. Maybe the landlord just doesn't want the terrible publicity that's associated with having a tenant like Tiffany Henyard and her married to someone else boyfriend living in the home. So with reports suggesting that they were $3,350 in arrears on their rent and must either pay up or vacate the property. I'm sorry, I'm not defending Tiffany Henyard, but when you're in arrears $3,350 and she makes alone $297,000. Her boyfriend makes $100K. Between the two of them, they make almost $400K. So this idea that they're going to be thrown out for an outstanding rent bill of $3,350 is laughable at best. It's like, come on, guys, use your head. So that's an out. That's a no-go. This is a claim brought under false pretenses, Henyard's attorney, Beau Brindley. Beau Brindley, don't trust anything that guy says. I don't believe proof of missed payment can be produced. This is being driven by other motives and is not a complaint brought in good faith. Court date for Henyard and Wood's eviction proceeding has been set for October 22nd. Well, I wonder how that's going. Separately, Henyard sued village trustees and Dolton officials on October 8th, accusing them of violating Illinois law when holding a board meeting. Man, we have covered that backwards and forwards. If you want to check that out on this channel, we've done live streams. I mean, this has been such a topic. And it's because there's such a contentious relationship between Henyard and the trustees. They don't trust her. She doesn't trust them. And they just go head to head. They're not getting anything done. But again, are there things within that are creating a legal liability for Henyard? That's the big question of the hour, right? Lawsuit states that Mayor Henyard had arranged for a regular board meeting on October 7th at Village Hall. An agenda for the meeting was conspicuously posted on the doors at the entrance of the Village Hall on October 4th. But on the same day, another meeting agenda was mysteriously posted on the same doors and was signed by 3 village trustees. Due to this parallel meeting, Mayor's meeting didn't have enough members present, so it had to be canceled, the suit says. Filing adds to these trustees who called a separate meeting were acting on the order of Jason House, who serves as mayor pro tem. He is also running for Dolton mayor under a Clean House 2025. That's a great campaign because his last name, House. Get it? Yeah, that's good stuff, right? The election will be held in April of 2025. You know, if I had if I was under all this stress and pressure, if I had, the FBI raid coming in and doing subpoenas and I was on the hook for a whole bunch of this stuff, I am not sure, knowing all that I would be running for mayor. But again, this is the super mayor. She believes, honestly, she has done nothing wrong. At least that's what she's portraying, right? Because you gotta show a stiff upper lip and never let anybody see you cry, right? Never let them see you cry, because then you got weakness and then they're just gonna jump on that and go. So Tiffany Henyard basically said, "Hey, I'm gonna go again." That makes absolute sense. All this other stuff, it's just not that big of a deal in her mind. Now, go to the village of Dolton. Those people are just pulling their hair out, because even if she hasn't done anything illegal, and I'm not saying she hasn't, the way that she has mucked up the village and the things that she has done, creating all this extra security so her own constituents can't get to meetings, canceling meetings, holding meetings, putting folks in position that have no business in those positions in the village. You got a violation of a temporary restraining order. You violated an injunction. Again, those are legal maneuvers that the township attorney is having to work on, and Tiffany Henyard's attorney has had to work on. And it's all this back and forth. Tiffany Henyard should not run just based on the fact she has caused so much friction for the people, for the constituents of Village of Dolton. And the fact that she has caused so much chaos in the township of Thornton as well is kind of an indication of, okay, if it was just happening in Dolton, maybe you could come up with, those people over there, they're just a little bit tweaked. But when you've basically got the identical complaints happening in the township of Thornton, then something's wrong. Something's wrong. So will they have enough to stick her with before this even comes to the election in April of 2025? I don't know. But man, that is a long ways away from now if you are either Township of Thornton or Village of Dolton. Township of Thornton, that election, we're not talking about that election. We're just talking about Village of Dolton. But if you're in October and you got to wait until April and they are having meeting after meeting canceled and they don't have a budget, they don't have, things lined up, they're not paying bills, they've got all kinds of craziness like that. April is a long time away. And with her re-entering the race, it'll be really interesting. She won with, I think, 83% of the vote her first time round. Jason House, I think he will win this time. He better win this time. If you're in the Village of Dolton, you need to go with Jason House, because your girl, the super mayor, she isn't doing you any benefits. She's not doing you any favors. Don't listen to her on what she has to say, because most of that stuff to me is just like, yeah, okay, yeah, don't believe you. Whatever. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.